How's everybody doing this morning? Comme
I
ça?
want to go back to sleep.
Huh?
I want to go back to sleep.
You gonna go back to sleep? Why?
Yeah, but I was up since 3:30 this morning.
I can understand.
My daughter's sick, so
Oh, yeah, that's bad when somebody's sick. Don't tell me about sickness. Just start recovering. Let's see how many people we have. We still have a lot of people not showing up. Okay, so what we're doing today, we need to do the question in the back of chapter 2 and chapter 1. So how many of y'all have the book? Anybody bought the book?
no, I just have it on Cengage.
Okay, so you have an electronic copy of the book.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go back to the back of the chapter, review questions. Everybody will be on the same page. Anybody have problems so far? Speak up now because got some people that wait for the last minute. Don't communicate. So, any challenging? Any challenge or challenges?
Not really.
The only challenge is to think critically, which is 3 points. Those should be 100. Just kidding.
I see what you mean. A lot of people do that. Yeah, I heard that before. Just for 3 points, man, it's gonna take me for hours to see. Yeah. Well, you need to remember that I think they put them there for purposes. It's good to think critically. And this is what about IT, you know? Everything's built around logic, especially when you deal with Microsoft. Sometimes you have a different answer that makes sense, but they want you to answer a certain way. So that's
Now, Mr. Charif,
challenging. Yeah.
on the server 2, what does server 2 entail? Is
Deals
that going to be like networking?
DNS. No, it's not network.
Okay.
It's gonna be DNS, something in Windows. How to manage because this one talks about the feature of Windows. Then we go to use those features. We're gonna talk about domain. We need to install domains. We need to install or configure DNS. Basically, you install feature and you know how to configure it. Basically, that's what the
Okay.
chapter 2, server 2.
Server 2.
Now, I found out this class has more work to do than the other servers because you guys you're not familiar with how to set up Hyper-V and all that stuff. But once you know how to do that, it's easy. Anybody knows how to create virtual machine now? Get used to it?
Some of us do. Some of us do.
Mr. Charif,
Yes.
the quizzes and labs and stuff, are you gonna open those up or put due dates on them or anything like that?
The quizzes, okay, you have 2 quizzes. We'll go over them. Some of quizzes we imported this class from the previous one.
Yeah,
So
it's saying they were closed on January like 17th or something like that.
yeah. I can open some of them. Some of them maybe I'm gonna delete them. I'm gonna go review them and see.
Okay.
Because you have enough point. I mean, If you do follow Cengage, you have enough point to make good grade. You do all the Cengage requirement.
Okay. Just let us know.
Now, I used to get quizzes in the class because some people skip classes and, you know, and that's why sometimes we force them to take a quiz, you know. But since we changed into online, so I'm gonna look at those quizzes to see what's the content. Okay, everybody, on the chapter 2 review questions.
Yeah, I can get to him. Give me 1 second.
Okay, let's see.
I was on
Which of the
chapter 1.
Chapter 2. Let's do chapter 2 because it's fresh. We just finished it.
Okay.
So, with question number 1, which of the following is not a valid Windows Server 2016 installation options? So, what do you think? What do you think?
Can we see your screen?
No, you have your book? I don't have a screen. That's it from my book.
Oh, okay.
I thought you have a book.
Windows 20. I have the electronic book.
Okay, that's
I'm
fine.
trying to get to the page. I'm trying to get to the page.
It's under review questions in the back of chapter 2. Anybody have problem with that? Anybody doesn't have a book? If you don't have a book, that's a problem. And also, you can order the book for $7 for the semester. You have a hard copy if you want. I cannot function without basically a physical book. There's a physical book, I can go outside with it, I can read it, I can highlight it, I can do whatever I want. But you guys, it's up to you. So, what do you think is the answer for number 1? Which of the following is not a valid Windows Server 2016 installation? Option number 1, clean installation of Windows Server 2016 Data Center. Option number 2, an upgrade from Windows Server 2012 Release 2 Server Core to Windows Server 2016 Desktop Experience.
That
2.
one.
That one. Yep. B is correct. B is the right answer. So did you find that page that say review questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me go to chat and see.
But
Okay. Number 2, what is required to install Hyper-V server role? That's easy. What do you think do we need?
64-bit processor, AMD V or Intel VT extensions.
Exactly right. Option number A and C. That's A and C. So for question number 2 is A and C. That's correct. Number 3, which of the following is true when which of the following is true when purchasing a motherboard with multiple CPU sockets?
all the CPUs have to be identical.
Yeah, that's right. It's that makes sense, right? Why do you want
Yeah.
somebody,
Yep.
for example, put one CPU Intel or whatever model and the other one's AMD, whatever model? It doesn't make sense. It's always good to have identical processor. Absolutely correct. Number 4, you are trying to decide which disk technology to use on your new Windows Server 2016. Installed. The server will be in a heavy use around the clock every day. High performance is necessity. Which technology is the best choice? You have IDE, which is the old one, ATA 166, SATA, or SAS. SCSI attached server. That's what the SAS, SAS.
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 Yep, that's correct. D is correct.
What?
What?
Which one is considered like the blade server where you can pull and pull out hard drives?
The blade server don't have hard drives. When you deal with
Okay.
blade servers, the blade servers basically is designed to connect to a storage, a rack of hard drives, and it's used for
Okay.
virtualization. Because we bought so many of those blade servers, and some of them has like we used to put comes with small drive just to install the VMware or the operating system to be like an hypervisor. And after that, you don't touch it. You access everything and manage everything remotely. But for the for old or not old, some servers, let's put it that way. Like the one we have on the lab is like a flat, thin servers, or the old tower-looking server. We used to use a SCSI, and now they changed from SCSI to SAS. And actually, we
Okay.
have the one we have in the lab. They have SAS, which is give you better performance than the rest of the types of drive.
Okay.
Because the reason for that,
I just constantly heard blade server.
yeah, blade server basically, you have a chassis, and the chassis has a bunch of slots, and in the slots you put a server, like a motherboard. That's why they call blade servers. So it depends on how many slots you have. So physically, it looks like one box, but inside this one box, you have maybe 8 motherboards. Each one of them is a server. And
Gotcha.
you need to think, like you say, critically. So you always need to question, why you want to design a server like this? Why I need a box with multiple motherboards in it? For what purpose? Why we're moving in this direction? So the reason why you have a multiple servers, what were you going to do with the multiple server? What's the advantage? What do you think? Critical thinking.
More resources. More resources to share.
More resources to share. Okay, more. And that means, what do you mean by that? I can share resources like the drives, the folders. I can still share them.
Means you can accommodate more people.
Go ahead.
Means you can accommodate more people.
Yeah, but think about what we talked about before. When you design a network, why we went to virtualization? Why do you want to virtual instead of regular? To design a network with what? With
Redundancy.
redundancy, high availability. Okay, how you want to do high availability when you put those server in clusters. So if you have thousands of users logging into one server and that server fail, okay, so if something goes wrong with that server, what's going to happen to the users? So if you have a cluster servers, okay, the user is going to access the other server without noticing. To do this, you need some kind of like blade server or bunch of servers attached to a common storage, and that's the main idea. You cannot have cluster servers if you're not connected to a common storage. That means all the servers need to be connected to that storage. And that's why always the case, the storage always slower than any other components. So that's why they move from IDE to better performance drive, because the CPU, we can put a lot of CPU powers, a lot of memory, but always the bottleneck for your machine is the hard drive. Okay, I'm gonna get to that about clustering, and we'll talk about that in details. Question number 5. If you ask that question number 5, when like a couple of semesters ago or a couple of years ago, you'll get a wrong answer. But since now we're dealing with 2016, not 2012. So how Microsoft license? Your company new physical server has 2 processors, each with 4 cores for a total of 8 cores. How many Windows Server 2016 licenses need to purchase for your 8-core server? So what you think?
You're gonna have to get 8.
You
It's
have to
by
have,
core, so you would need 8.
so you need to have 2 8s, because each processor, the minimum is 8 cores. Doesn't matter if you have 4 core or 3 core, they still charge you 8, like one license. One license per 8.
Okay.
Okay, so they're gonna, doesn't matter if your processor is 4 core or 3 core or 8 cores, they still gonna charge you for 8 or 9 core. Still, uh, they're gonna do 8. So in this case, it has to have two licenses.
How much does one license cost?
It's been a while since I deal with the licenses, because it's when I was a director, it's I used to pay a year around maybe $20,000 for licenses. But again, because a long time ago,
Wow.
it used to be different. Um, I'm not sure. Usually, when we order those licenses, they have a special company. They are Microsoft dealers, basically. They have one in New Orleans. We used to buy from them, or you can buy from Microsoft directly, I believe. But here, here's the thing. If you go to Dell, just to give you an idea, and you go select a server, you're gonna see the server cost maybe about $2 to $3,000. You say I want 20 user license, that price jump from 2 or 3,000 up to 8,000. Okay, and that's a lot of money for a piece of paper for licenses.
Mhm.
So that's why in some Asian country, they didn't use Microsoft. They developed their own version of Linux. And that's what they use to save money on licenses. Microsoft makes tons and tons of millions of dollars because of the licenses. It looks like people have no problem to pay, some companies. Reason why, because they invest a lot of money in the Microsoft Plus. Most applications in businesses, they designed around the Windows operating system. And that's why people use it a lot. The Microsoft has a lot of market share. But if you want to do web server, for example, you use Linux, Apache server, they call it, to host a website or something like that. Anyway, so number 6, which networking protocol is installed by default in Windows Server 2016? We should know that. I say TCP/IPv4 and TCP/IPv6. Okay, what IPX SPX? Who used that protocol? Or who used to use that protocol?
Novell?
That was for Novell, that's correct. How about NetBEUI?
Oracle? No.
I don't know where they come up with this name, NetBEUI. That was Microsoft in Windows 98 and 95. We used to use NetBEUI. And Windows, even then Windows 4. I mean, Windows 3.5, NT 3.5. We used to put NetBEUI. And that's why after that, when Windows NT 4, we start using TCP/IP protocol. Anyway, this is one of the oldest protocols. I'm sorry?
Was that after the IEEE went ahead and standardized TCP/IP across the board?
I mean, basically, it's not because it's standardized or not standardized. TCP/IP, nobody owns it. Even we had TCP/IP back then, was very start to get popular because nobody heard about it before. I mean, it was in existence with the military, and but Novell was the dominant network operating system, and they used to use IPX SPX, even with Windows TCP/IP for so they can. We have some Windows server run TCP/IPv4, and we have some Novell server running IPX SPX. And Novell product they were way better than Windows operating system. But I think Novell, they said, okay, I don't know why it took them so long to adopt TCP/IPv4, and that's why they lost the battle with Microsoft. I think they were proud that this is their own protocol. It works fast. And by the way, if you look at IPX SPX, that was a protocol using the address is like what do you call it? They use it's like a MAC address, hexadecimal addresses. And now what we're doing with IPv6, we use what? Hexadecimal.
Hexadecimal.
Yep. So IPX SPX used that a long time ago. Anyway, just the history of the protocols. Which of the following is not a typical Windows Server 2016 post-installation? The only one makes sense is what? Which one makes sense?
Oh, the core role.
Yeah. The only one makes sense is A, installing the server core role.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Okay, which of the following is a task you must do during Windows Server installation? Name the server to during, not after, during. Name the server, choose the disk where it will be installed, set the administrator password, set the workgroup domain. And the right answer is B. You need to tell them where you want to install the operating system. Okay, number 9. Which command allows you the echo request packet through the firewall? Echo request means what? Like a ping.
Mhm.
So what command allows echo request packets through the firewall?
NetSH firewall set ICMP setting 8.
Yes, if you have the book, this is on the bottom of page 55. I tell you about to do that. And the reason why they need to make sure they can communicate with that server. I mean, this is especially when you do server. The server is secure, has high standard of security. A lot of time you set that two machine or two server to be on the same switch with the same network ID, and sometimes does not ping, don't talk to each other. So the first thing to do is you can do the NetShell firewall set ICMP setting. Some people, what they do also, they disable the firewall, but disabling the firewall, you put your server at risk. So it'd be better to go to do it through this. Just allow a ping. Okay. Sometimes you will have communication, but if this is set to disable it, you don't respond to ping. So, and that's a problem, especially when you do when you have an Active Directory or a domain controller and you want to join domain and you cannot join the domain. That's a lot of troubleshooting you need to. One of the tricks we find out is to disable both IPv6. Take the IPv6 out if it's not configured correctly. Okay, number 8, 10. 10. Which PowerShell command allows you to set date and time for your server core?
Set date.
Set date, that's right. Okay, if the product key was not entered during the server core installation, which command allows you to activate? We talked about that. If the product key was entered during the server installation, which command allow you to activate?
So
Yeah,
was
SL
the SL
manager
manager.
/ ATO. Yep. Which of the following is a reason for installing a new server? Choose or apply.
Well, fault tolerance.
Yeah.
You
So has the
overburdening your other server.
yeah, excessive load on existing server, fault tolerance, that's correct. What else? Isolation of a new application. So the answer is A, B, and D. Okay. A, B, and D. Okay, you approach one of your server running server core and see a completely blank desktop except for the mouse pointer. You need to do some management task on the server. What should you do?
Control Alt Delete and Task Manager.
Yep. Control Alt Delete. And by the way,
Or
Control
the
Alt
little
Delete.
button.
Yep, Control Alt Delete and select Task Manager. This is part of the security. Actually, it's a good idea to always, even in Windows 10, to enable that feature, or Windows 7, always to do Control Alt Delete. Okay, with number 14, you have just finished installing Windows Server 2016. You have assigned the server a name and finished configuring IP addresses. That's good. And you have tested your configuration by using ping to verify network connectivity with your default gateway and another server on the network. So that's great. And everything worked fine. However, the next day, your colleague tells you that she tried to ping the server. Her request timed out. And you tried to ping her computer and receive a reply just fine. Why cannot
Or
your
firewall.
colleague ping your server successfully? Ping.
Or firewall.
Firewall. Windows firewall is blocking the packets. Oh, that's typical. That's why. I mean, it happened to me when I installed the domain like I showed you yesterday with the client. It took me a while to make those two ping and talk to each other. So I have to go disable firewall on both of them to work. So that's basically what the problem. And especially on Windows Server, always a problem. The other group that when we used to do the lab on the physical machines, man, they used to pull their hair because they always complain, I cannot ping, I cannot communicate, I cannot do this. And the reason why, because of firewall. I keep telling them, disable firewall, disable firewall. Which command can use to restart Windows Server immediately? Shutdown /R/T0. A.
Yep.
Okay. Which of the following is the default setting for Windows Update after you first turn on automatic update? So the following is a default setting. Okay, default setting for Windows Update after you first turn on automatic updates.
Download
So,
updates only.
Yep, download updates only. So A is the correct answer. So what they say here, which of the following is true about upgrading to Windows Server 2016? An upgrade from Windows Server to Edition require a clean install. You can upgrade from Chinese version to an English version. The server core install always require a clean installation. Your upgrade from Windows Server. What do you think it makes sense?
Going from the Chinese version.
From 2008 edition, you need to do it. Require a clean install. Migrate. Use migration. Clean install and you migrate. Okay, number 18. Which of the following circumstances is a server migration required? You want to upgrade the Windows Server 2016 data center. I think A is one of them when you're running Windows Server 2008 release 2. When you're running a GUI installation in Windows Server 2008. How about when you're running Windows Server 2012 release 2?
No.
No, you can do that. Yep.
Should be
So
the
the
should
right
be the
answer
both
is A
the
and C.
2008.
Yep. A and C is the right answer. Which command can you use in Windows Server 26 Core to configure basic setting? That's your favorite command right here. C. What do you call it? C. Sysconfig. I mean, not sys. Sconfig. Server configuration. That's the C. The first time after you install the core, you need to do the sconfig and give you a list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. And you select the number that you want to configure. For example, you want to configure, you want to assign IP address. I don't know which option of them, but this is the command you need to use. Number 20, why would you use feature on demand? Why you want to
Feature on
use
demand.
to reduce disk space? Because basically you free some disk space, and you can add them whenever you want. Okay, let's see number 21. If you want to see a list of available roles and feature, which command would you use?
Get Windows feature.
Yep, we always use the verb get. Get and followed by noun, Windows feature, not features. It's feature, singular. It's always that's
Singular.
things to follow. Okay, any questions at this point? So that's the question for chapter 2. I forgot what chapter 1 all about. So let's go see chapter 1. What chapter 1 talks about? Okay, everybody back to chapter 1.
Yes, sir.
Okay, number 1, which of the following best defines a computer used as a server? Computer hardware that includes fast disk drives and a lot of memory. Computer with OS software that has a web browser and client for Microsoft Network. A computer with OS software that include directory services and domain name services. Does that make sense?
That would be it. That one makes
Yes.
sense.
C is correct. Which of the following best describe a Windows client operating system? That's number 2. Supports up to 64 processors. Includes fault tolerance features such as RAID 5 and clustering. That's not a client. That's for server. Support network connection based on the number of processors licenses. No.
Server.
Support a limited number of signed and network user. So D is correct because
Yes.
because they use CALs, client access. So number 3, which of the following is service supported by Windows 10?
File and printer sharing for sure.
Yep, and Hyper-V. So those 2 options they can do with Windows 10. Which number 4? Which server feature provide fault tolerance? That's easy, right? Fail over
Yeah, the
clustering.
clustering.
Fail over clustering. B. And that's what we talked about the to eliminate single point. I mean, so that's why if one server, okay, so you have single point of failure. If you have a multiple server, you put them as a cluster and you put them common storage. If one server goes down, so you still can operate. Number 5, which Windows Server core technology can you use to install? Which Windows Server core technology can you use to install, configure, and remove server roles and features?
Server manager.
Server Manager, that's right. With which Windows Server core technology do you use snap-ins? When you use the here word
MMC.
snap-ins, MMC, that's right. When you hear the word snap-ins, always remember MMC, Microsoft Management Console. Okay, number 7. You are signed in to server name Marketing Server 1. That's a part of the marketing work group. Okay. What kind of server are you signed into? Is it domain controller? Is it a member server? Is it a standalone server? Is it a cluster server?
A standalone.
Standalone server. That's right, because it's in the work group. Number 8, the IT department sent out the demos stating that it will start delivering desktop computer interfaces through the IT data center via web browser interface. What technology is the IT department using?
Virtual desktops.
VDI, virtual desktop infrastructure. Very good. Number 9, which component of a network connection specifies the rules and format of communication between network devices?
TCP/IP, TCP/IP6.
Network protocol.
Any network protocol.
Network protocol, that's right. Network protocol. Which type of networking component is file and print sharing for Microsoft networks? What type of network component is file and print sharing for Microsoft network? Server software. B is correct answer.
Because you're sharing.
Number 11, what feature of Windows Server 2016 allow you to run command on virtual machine directly from host server?
PowerShell Direct.
PowerShell Direct, that's correct. This is very, very important. What feature of Windows Server 2016 allow you to run command on a virtual machine directly from host server? PowerShell Direct. Number 12, you are a consultant for small business with 4 computers users. The company's main reason for networking is to share the internet connection to printers and several documents. Keeping costs down is a major consideration, and users should be able to manage their own shared resources. Which networking model best meets the need of this business? You give them a data center?
It's going to be a work group.
Work group, that's right.
No.
Not a data center, that's right. Which network component includes a device driver?
Nick.
Dick card.
Network interface. That's right, network interface. Okay, number 14. If you want to share files on your computer, which other Windows... Okay, if you want to share files on your computer with other Windows computers, what should you have installed and enable on your computer?
File and printer sharing.
Yes, file and printer sharing for Microsoft Networks. That's right. Number 15, if you want to make a computer a domain controller, which is the following should you install? AD, Active Directory. It's the answer C. Okay, 16, which new features in Windows 2016 on Server 2016 is not a full-fledged server, but is targeted at specific use cases such as a DNS server or a web server?
Nano server?
Nano server, that's correct. Which of the following is a common framework in which most Windows Server 2016 administrative tools run? Windows Management Center, Microsoft Management Console, MMC, Server Configuration Manager. Yes, it's a MMC. Okay, number 18. You have been asked to advise a business on how best to set up its Windows network. 8 workstations are running Windows 10. The business recently acquired a new contract that requires running a network application on the server. A secure and reliable environment is critical to run this application, and security management should be centralized. So they give you a hint. Security
Yes.
and centralized. There are enough funds. Hey, they got poo money. Get their money, right? If the budgets for the new hardware and software, if necessary, which Windows networking model should you advise this business to use? What do you think?
Windows domain.
Windows domain
80.
using Active Directory. So A is good. Number 19, which new feature in Windows Server 2016 isolate applications and shares the host OS kernel?
Containers.
Containers, very good. Windows containers. Did I give you an assignment to do research on that one? Yeah, I forgot. That's a good thing to read about containers, how it works. And the reason why this is the future. Container. Which of the following roles should you install if you want to create and manage virtual machines?
Hyper-V.
Hyper-V, you're right, absolutely. So that's all the questions on chapter 1. So to be ready for the test tomorrow, what you need to do, read your chapters, go over these questions again, make sure you answer them correctly and read the notes. So some of the question comes from the notes. So just read the chapters. On the chapter 2, they have a lot of labs. It's a good idea to do the labs too, because if you understand how to do the labs, sometimes it's easy for you to answer the question. And if you want to specialize in Microsoft, it's a good idea also to take the cert for this class, the MCSA 70-740. Okay. Any question at this
Are they
point?
doing?
I'm sorry?
I thought they were doing away with that. I thought they were doing away with the MSSC.
Who? Microsoft?
Yeah, they changed it to something Azure or something.
It's in my book to say,
Yeah, all their certs are Azure based now. I'm pretty sure they dropped MCSE and stuff last year sometime.
yeah, you're right. They push in Azure because it's cloud-based. You're right. Yeah. I think we need to teach a class about Azure, just strictly Azure. Yeah, we've been
Isn't
talking
it
about
really
that for a while.
just PowerShell on a larger scale?
Azure basically is like AWS. Basically, you have everything on the cloud. That's basically what Azure is. It's alternative of AWS. So you have an Active Directory in the cloud. You have services on the cloud. So that's basic. Okay. So let's talk about test. You have test tomorrow. And we're gonna have test this week also on Cisco. I don't know when. Today is what? Tuesday?
Yes, sir.
So we need to finish chapter. So to Wednesday you have server. Thursday, today, maybe Cisco 2 test will be Friday.
Okay.
So we'll do some hands-on, and then you'll be ready for the test. I don't know. If we finish early today, we'll see. Maybe you'll
Okay.
take a Thursday. You want to take a Thursday or Friday? Some people say
Don't matter to
For
me.
this class?
no. I'm talking
Oh,
about
for Cisco.
Cisco 2.
Oh, okay.
We'll see. I'll let you know that when we get to Cisco 2 class at in about an hour or so. Okay. Any question about this one here?
No.
Okay. Don't have questions, so we can meet at what?
9:45.
9:25. Yes, sir. Okay,
right.
we're going to finish chapter 4 today, hopefully. If not, we'll take tomorrow too.
What time is the test going to be tomorrow?
Same time as the class, 8.
Okay.
Yeah, we in sync. We use synchronous now, so we follow the schedule for the classes, and we can go from there. If you don't have a question, we'll do resume in 9:25.
All right.
See you then.
All right, sir. Thank you.